Hi, this is Neve here from themamaship.blogspot.com, and I just want to make a quick video about the biggest obstacle when it comes to breastfeeding. And for me, the biggest obstacle I have ever come across is the attitudes of the people that surround me. There is no physical obstacle to breastfeeding. It's a simple process. Your body creates milk, your baby drinks it. Your body creates more milk, your baby drinks it. That's it. End of. Yes, you might come across a blocked duct, or if you don't watch out for that, you might catch mastitis, you might be sick and need antibiotics or whatever. So there are physical obstacles to breastfeeding, but they can all be avoided if you check out my blog or read up on breastfeeding and how to avoid those problems. So the only obstacle in our society is other people's attitudes. From the minute my first son was born, he was newborn in my arms in the first days and weeks, the most common question I got asked was, how long are you planning to breastfeed him for? Now that's like saying to somebody, well, to me it was like asking me, how long are you going to kiss and cuddle him for? How long will you let him wear diapers for? How long will you wipe his nose when he needs it wiped? It's a ridiculous question. Um, it should be a ridiculous question. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's a common question people wonder about. But to me, it's like the most basic need that your child has of being fed. Why would you only do it and set a limit to it from the start? It enraged me, to be honest, to be asked that question, because it already puts it into your mind that it's not, that it has a finite end to that process, that it's not something you should really be doing, or if you're doing it, it's only for a certain amount of time. It's a temporary thing. So I just want to say to any mothers out there who are maybe younger than me, who are maybe more vulnerable, who are maybe sitting on the fence about breastfeeding and just giving it a go to see how it works out. If people ask you that question, please don't take it to heart. Please look on it as the asker's way of just making conversation, because they may not know anything about breastfeeding. Maybe that's something they've heard other people ask, or maybe it's a discussion they're actually just interested in having with you. Don't take it to mean that there is a point where you must give up breastfeeding. I'm saying this because I'm still breastfeeding my son, who is almost 3.5 years old, and I'm also breastfeeding my newborn son, who is 4 months old. And the question got asked me so many times with my first son, but then, they were asking me, are you going to stop when he has teeth? Are you going to stop when he reaches the age of 1? And always my answer was, why would I stop when he's 1? Why would I stop ever? I'm just here to provide the milk. It's up to him to drink it as much as he wants to, or for as long as he wants to, and then he's going to stop when he's ready. So my answer was always, I'll stop when he's ready. Now I joke about it and I say, well, I hope I'll have stopped before he starts college, because he's walking around, he's, almost as tall as my boob itself, and he is very vocal and very intelligent. So it seems strange to some people to see him get up on my lap and drink milk. But if you look at the research, if you look at how other civilizations did it, children were often not weaned, or they didn't wean themselves till the age of 5 or 6, which is when their immune systems were fully able to deal with all viruses that they would come across. So biologically, I think it makes sense for them to feed at least a small amount, and they do wean off as time goes on. But biologically, I think they need to feed for as long as possible. Obviously, until they have teeth, until they're able to fend for themselves in the wild, which wouldn't come before the age of 5 or 6. I also heard that for boys, testosterone is produced from the age of 5 or 6 onwards, so I think that has something to do with the weaning age as well. I've met mothers who are still feeding their sons at 4.5 or 5. And I know this probably sounds really strange, and people are going to look at me like I'm some crazy, overprotective mother, and I probably would have thought the same when I was starting out. And to be honest, when I did start feeding my son, in my head I always thought, well, I'm sure I'll have stopped by the age by the time he's 2. And 2 came and went, and then 3 came and went. And yes, he weaned down a little bit, but he's just had a new brother, so now he's feeding more because he's a little more insecure. And why would I take that away from him just because society feels it's not appropriate? We need to get over our problem with breasts. We need to get over the breast fetishes, and then we will just see them as biological producers of food for our children. I think that's really important. So it depends on your circle of friends, it depends on your family. A lot of it depends on your husband as well, or your partner, whoever is doing the parenting with you. If they're not 100% into breastfeeding, they're going to put it in your head from the start that there must be an end in sight. I don't want to name names, but I know of a couple who the father has always been quite insistent that he wants to have a part in feeding the baby from day one, and he wasn't able to really see that, you know, he can't physically do that, so he was putting pressure on his partner to wean the baby, or to at least express milk and let him give it through a bottle, which is fine if you want to do that, but why would you unless you had to, basically. And obviously when you return to work it's another thing, but I know mothers who are in work and they still breastfeed their babies. They leave expressed milk for daytime, and then they feed their babies in the evening and night and morning. So it's probably only 8 hours a day that the baby is not getting breast milk direct from the breast. So you can keep it going as long as you want. So I'll wrap it up there. The biggest obstacle to breastfeeding is society's attitudes, unfortunately. And while we would all love to go and live on an organic farm and raise our kids in the most healthy, natural way possible, some of us don't want to give up living in a big city with its shops and its shoes and its culture and its museums and its parks and the people that we need around us too. So you have to be able to make it work for you in your social network. And I'd urge you to find support in other breastfeeding mothers. If that means joining your local La Leche League, joining a breastfeeding support group, starting one up yourself, or just meeting friends of friends who are breastfeeding. The problem is when they then stop breastfeeding for whatever reason and you continue, you don't have that much in common anymore. But then you meet other people too. So keep it up, breastfeed, and enjoy it. That's all. Bye bye.